So I'm a realtor here in West Los Angeles, and if you're looking to sell or buy or lease or rent, give me a call. You know, my number is 310-437-3343, or my email is anthonygalliano@anthonygalliano.com. So today, I want to talk to you guys about short sales. And you probably heard short sales before. They were very popular in 2007 around that area because prices had dropped so much that people who purchased their homes before that were stuck with these high loans and high values, and they couldn't sell their houses and they wanted to get out of there, and they were stuck. So usually a transaction involves two parties. You know, you have the buyer and you have the seller. It's a pretty straightforward transaction. But when your house drops in value from where it was to where it is today, you have a gap. And no one is going to pay that extra money just so that you can get out of water. And so what happens is now you have to contact the bank. Now it becomes a three-party transaction because now you have the bank deciding whether they want to go ahead and take that hit. What I mean by a hit is to take that loss from what the house was worth to what the house is worth today. And so basically taking a loss on that loan. And for the seller, it's very good that the bank approves it because the seller now won't have that hit on his credit. I mean, it may affect him a little bit, but not as much as if he goes through a bankruptcy or, he just forecloses on that. So that's why for the seller it's such a great deal that the bank approves it. And so as a realtor, what I do is basically I talk to the seller, I explain the situation, then I talk to the bank, I say, look, this property is underwater, we have to put it for sale at a particular price. And then of course they're going to want to see a BPO, a broker's price opinion, or they're going to want to see a CMA, a comparable market analysis, or they're going to want to see an appraisal. And so in order for you to come out with that price that you're going to list the property at on the MLS. So once you have a buyer, a seller, and the bank willing to do that, that's a short sale. That's the transaction in a nutshell. So basically the bank says okay, and then you tell them you have a buyer, and then the bank says okay, submit all the paperwork, and then the bank usually don't trust your word, so they're going to hire an independent broker to do a broker price opinion, or they may send their own appraisal. And so they said, okay, we don't like the price. You said 700, we think it's worth 710. And so you go back to the buyer, says, okay, bank is willing to do this, but they're coming at 710. And usually, you get into the negotiation part, assuming that everything is okay, you say yes, then you have a deal at 710, but then you go to the house and then you find out there's some issues, then you can negotiate that back and forth. But anyway, after that becomes a traditional transaction where you have a buyer and a seller negotiating things through the bank, and the bank has to approve most of the things. So the deal usually goes to a short sale department in the bank, and it's a three-party transaction. So in a nutshell, a short sale, what that is basically a way to sell your house if it's worth less than when you bought it for, with the participation of the bank agreeing to that, and a buyer who is willing to buy the property. So I hope this helps, and if you have any questions, call me